Hamza, and I am the principal at Instructional School. It's a public-private partnership between Bloom Education and the Ministry of Education.
Okay. What does being a school leader or a principal personally means to you?
Sure. That's a very difficult question because there's so many levels to it, right? Um, it's difficult because we've just gone through an inspection. So I think sometimes being a school leader, for me personally, I think is you have to contribute to the community. I like that element of it. You must want to impact students' lives or want to contribute to their lives alongside the parents and the community to make sure that they reach the best that they can within society.
That's the thing that inspire you to be a school leader, or you have something?
I started off working in social services and I enjoyed working with kids. I always have.
Oh.
The element that I love about kids is they're honest and they're genuine and they say what they feel. Where adults are less so and more guarded, right? And I think the element, the thing that inspires me the most about kids, and I think maybe that sometimes my own detriment is I'm very direct, like a child, because I believe it's the best way forward, but maybe not in the adult.
Have you received any leadership training or qualifications help you to prepare for this position?
No formal qualification. Yes, I've written exams, but I think ultimately what gets you to this point is your experience, right? And then I think sometimes within certain organizations, the support is really strong for new principals and also within certain countries. So yes, I've just signed up for my NPQH. And I've also identified a program that is a mentorship for new principals or principals less than 5 years. So I have identified certain courses for me to start taking to really support me and train me a little bit more on how to be a principal.
Amazing. What does being a school leader or a principal personally means to you?
Sure. Yes. So I have identified certain courses for me to start taking to really support me and train me a little bit more on how to be a principal.
Amazing. Can you share a story about a time when your school went through a major change?
Let's look at even Tanzania. We took over from a local school, from it being managed, and then we were just handed the school, correct? And I think ultimately what is the most important thing is to have a vision, something and strategic direction that really is going to drive you. So if you look when we walked in, we just got the framework of the school. There was nothing on the walls. The walls weren't painted. We had to go through, we came in with teachers from 19 different cultures and different backgrounds coming into one school. And we had to work towards having a unified voice. So sometimes when you start off, you have this scattered approach, and it's very important to bring people in. I think when we started last year, the biggest thing is it was all over in terms of teaching and learning. And then if you look at where we are now, we set the expectations for what math looks like, what English looks like, with talk for writing and for phonics, and what science looks like with a blended version with literacy. So now everybody, 19 different cultures and different directions, have now come into one voice.
So we went through a lot in those 2 years, but how did you lead the teachers or the staff through those?
I think it's important to have the vision, yes, and then it's also very important to a school development plan. Okay, because the thing is, if you have a look at our school development plan, you kind of plot what happens in each term. You can't predict everything, but you have a basic direction of where it's going. So if you have a look, in terms of teaching and learning, we first introduced Kagan, that was easier. Then we introduced talk writing over one term. Then we introduced, so it's a slow and gradual process of introducing something where you embed and then you move into refinement. So then you introduce the next one, embed it, and you refine it.
So sure you have resistance, whether it came from the parents, staff, students, any kind of stakeholders. How did you deal with that?
Listen, there's multiple elements, right? I think it's about number one, how you sell it. And we talk a lot about buy-in, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So
it's also a business.
Yes, it's also a business. So we need to think about what is the buy-in that we have for the different things. So it's how I approach it. So let's look at talk for writing. This was started with at the end of the first year, the parents said that they felt that the students weren't moving forward enough in English speaking subjects. So that led to that decision. then it was, remember, at the end of last year, we first did an introduction of what it is, so people have a conceptual understanding of what it is and what the potential outcomes we saw. Then it's about how to do it, so we introduce how to do it. Yes, in that phase, I think that's the initial pushback because it's something that people are not comfortable with, something that's new, they don't have the skill set. So there's an element where you provide the support for people to be successful. You put people in place to lead certain initiatives alongside the SLT, so it's not only something that's driven by the SLT, but at the same time, you have to push through sometimes through that resistance.
Sure.
Yes, especially when something is new, and especially when before people start seeing the impact. So if you have a look at the attitudes a bit towards in the beginning, they were a little bit apprehensive. But if you have a look at certain individuals who were extremely apprehensive, once they saw the outcome and they saw the benefit to their students, that's when they became actually promoters of the project and of top writing. So it is slowly but surely making sure that you sell it, that you implement it correctly, make sure that you train everybody, and then support and then refine. You know how we talk in school. Everything has to be purposeful and impactful because that's the most point. So I feel now that teachers are seeing the impact because it's evident in the MAP scores.
Sure.
Right? So now they feel that, okay, what we are doing is actually contributing to their success and their students' success, especially considering the KPIs the key performance indicators demand certain.
How would you describe the learning culture in your school? Like how that has been built with the staff and students, and what are the risks that you took to reach this place?
I think we have set in place a culture of learning, but I think we've set in place a culture for the love of learning. I think when I recruit anyone, the first thing I ask, sorry, before I get anything, I see if people understand how to motivate students. So my first few questions is about motivation, and then it's classroom behavior management, and then I get to that. I need to understand the first thing is whether teachers understand on how to create an environment in the classroom where the kids would want it to come, where the kids would want to learn, where the kids know they're going to have a relationship with their teacher, where the classroom is a safe environment for them to come in and really just relax and learn. This is key. For me, that's the foundation before anything else. And then I believe in making things fun. Because at the end of the day, you know what?
Enjoy coming to school.
Yes, enjoy coming to school. But the thing is, so if you have a look at the reason why we look at all the different approaches, right? So school in general is sit behind a desk and chair, and that's how we learn. No, we've brought in Craig instructors where the students are up and collaborating and talking to their friends. So it's not just sitting behind the desk. Talk for Writing is up and is busy and it uses the actions. So in other words, especially for the boys, because sometimes they can't sit still for prolonged periods of time, we give them an opportunity to be up and out and play. So they are not stagnant the whole time where they are bored and then they create behavior issues. Let's look at the science. The science is hand-on activities. It stimulates them. It's also group work. And then we do the science-guided reading, which has the station rotation. So it's up and movement and up and movement. And the students are therefore challenged. So there was a moment when we discussed it with the students and we asked them, are the questions easy or difficult? And they went, so hard. So that also means there's an element of we are challenging our students to actually grow and improve. So students feel that when they come here, there's value added to their lives. They know that number one, they're going to have fun, and number two, that they are going to learn. Students know when this teacher is serious and when the teacher is focused on them and how they are going to move forward. And that genuine element, the kid picks up immediately. So I think we fostered a culture in the school whereby the students know it's an amazing environment to work in. They're happy to be here. You can see that in the afternoon when they leave. Yes,
True.
they say hello. It's such an amazing atmosphere for me because the kids are loving and they're loving us back. Do you feel
Yes,
this? Yes,
and they love to come to school,
they
spend
love.
the day here. You know that you will have something new every day.
Yes. So we are mixing education with things whereby it's not this traditional way of looking at things. We are making it fun for them, and they're learning at the same time.
So, Mr. Chris, it's a fact that you have an open door all the time, and whoever have an idea, you support that if it can be implemented in school. But some teacher may come with some idea, but later it will fail. So how do you deal with that, and how do you turn it into a learning experience?
You know what? My first experience as a VP was in a school in LA. And in that school, there was an ethos of trial and error. So that really set things apart for me because, for example, the company was really moving ahead with different technology in the classrooms. And so they would come to us and they would say, who wants to trial this? So it was very much, we implemented some systems with maybe just 2 or 3 classrooms. We trialed it, we found the outcomes, and then we made a conscious decision on whether to continue or not. So I think that kind of set the tone for me, whereby I really enjoyed when we look at something or when somebody wants to try something. Yes, we need to understand what is the purpose of it, what is the outcomes that we want from it, what is the impact that we seek from this. And then it's a very much, it's not that I don't care. It's about how do we implement and how do we trial this before we implement it. And if it doesn't provide the outcomes that we think it should, then we don't go ahead with it. So for me, it's very much having that ethos of trial and error with the understanding with the impact. And if the impact is not there, if the impact is not shown, then we don't implement. It's nothing about the teacher's choice or not. It's about whether something is actually for the benefit of our students.
To the teacher's needs.
Yes, it was. So depending on where you are in the journey of the school, I think this is when these things. Listen, there's 2 different elements to this. It depends on if you're a new school and if you're a settled school. And with a settled staff. If you're a new school, there's first you have to set in place the structures and the non-negotiables in terms of the different elements. So sometimes what it means is for the first 2 years or so, teachers will receive CPD related to the organization and to setting up the framework of the school, which means there's less room for personal development. That doesn't mean that there isn't space for it, but the main focus will be that. Then as the school becomes more settled and the structure is more set in place, then you can start looking at the individual needs of the teachers to make sure that they are professionally supported. I think our school is now at a place whereby the structures have been set. So now we know everybody understands talk writing, everybody understands the science guided reading, everybody understands the math expectations. There's a comprehension of what goes on. But now it's the fine tuning of these different elements that comes in. So each teacher has a different need for these different elements. And this is the thing that comes in now. So yes, then what we are trying to do right now is, and this is what happened in other schools, so now where the next step would be to go in to use our coaches, yes, to determine the consistencies and inconsistencies within grades and within subjects or initiatives, and then provide the correct support for each teacher to achieve the maximum output, to see the skill development within that. I have worked in another organization where I love the framework. It was also a small coaching framework and it's only skills based. The CPD was never more than 30 minutes. And teachers had a selection between 18 different CPD stations. You signed up, you went for 30 minutes, found the strategy that you wanted to implemented the next week, feedback 2 weeks later. So it's very much about what is the most impactful. This is what I found. It was working, it wasn't working. So then it was in that school, because it was settled and had existed for more than maybe 15 years. So, and the teachers then all stayed, which meant that they all basically had the same structural, they all understood the structure of the school. So then it became more individualized in terms of need. And this is when you can look more at the differentiation, pedagogical content knowledge, maybe Kagan structures, maybe exit tickets, or then you go in and actually identify what every single teacher needs based on their lesson observations and their workbook scrutiny and all the different elements.
So it was already differentiated according to the teacher's needs.
Yes, it was. So depending on where you are in the journey of the school, I think this is when these things come up more.
It's a good thing to improve the teachers and school support. You mentioned before that you started your MBQ, right?
Yes.
But you already got the chair. While you're really here and you you presented yourself to the government and all those people.
Yeah, but I think as you grow in the profession, right, I don't think you will ever know everything, but you need to have a personal philosophy of learning as well. And I think self-improvement is crucial in education because it is constantly changing. There's no such way that if we do certain things It's like saying when we have to use Excel, you still want to use the calculator. Yes, we're in the same profession, but the thing is, it's evolving at such a pace, especially right now with technology and technological advances, that you have to keep afloat with this. Artificial intelligence is the next step, correct? So now, how I need to get ready for that? We need to know more before the students, because I think the problem right now is the students know more than we do in terms of AI. So it's very important to be ahead in terms of what it is, in terms of how the developments are, and what the latest research is for you to be up to date, really.
As I heard that they will implement this subject in schools later in UAE.
Yeah, so apparently for all local schools or ministry schools, AI will be compulsory starting next year, which is a really good approach, because I feel like students need to learn how to use AI as a personal assistant rather than someone doing it for them. So
what do you do personally to maintain your own emotional and mental well-being? And after all those things, you will have time that you are overwhelmed and pressure.
I think you're right. I think sometimes when we work in education, because it can be demanding, we neglect our own physical and mental well-being. And I think maybe my first year as a principal, I kind of became so overly focused on my work that I let go of other things. But I think before that, I think the main thing for me is I'm going to the gym. It's key. So now my gym bag is packed. I make sure that when I finish work, I get in the car, and that's the first place that I drive to. I don't stop at home, because otherwise then I'm going to take a nap and I'm not going to get up again. So we make
your target.
Make sure. And I think sometimes one of the most important things is connection with people outside of the profession and connection with people outside of the school, right?
Yeah.
You need to go and see your friends. You need to make sure that you make time for your friends. You need to make sure that you disconnect from the school, not because you dislike school, but it's because you need to fulfill your other needs as well, other than just your profession. Sure. So I think for me personally, it's my friends and my family, and I make sure that when I drive home, my family is the first thing that I call, have the conversations with them, because they live abroad. So make sure that they're up to date with what's going on in my life, and then catching up with friends and making sure I go out a little bit as well.
Wow.
But not too much, you know.
We still have work to do.
We still have work to do, and also, and I think sleep is the most important thing. Quality of sleep. Really. No. Yeah. I got myself a whoop, and now I'm checking everything. So I make sure it's recovery time. I'm my latest experiment.
Those are nice things to do after school, but your stuff, their personal life, you cannot control it that much. But how do you support their well-being during the school time?
Listen, I think this is a difficult one, because that each term ebbs and flows. You have busy times and you have quiet times. And I think for me, the way I'm trying to manage things is through the school calendar.
Yeah.
And so what I try and do is make sure that we space out everything, that it is a well-structured, evenly distributed responsibility of activities throughout the term and the year. This is one thing that I'm trying to do. Then what we also do for the staff, of course, is, I think, providing a stable school, a school that doesn't have many curveballs. I think this is very important. At one of my schools before, sometimes you would get a new timetable in the morning, and people are set for the day, and that kind of just the little things like that. So when I became VP there, we changed the timetable once in a year. Wow. And that stability really then means teachers don't have to worry about the little things that constantly happen. They can just get on with it. A well-communicated environment. So if you think, if you look at how we communicate the expectations we share the master calendar for the term. We share the weekly calendars with all the clarifications and all the expectations 4 weeks in advance. I want people to have thinking time whereby before it happens, it doesn't come as a surprise. So people they know what they need to do. They have time to ask questions. So that's one of the main things that I think. Then obviously, I think that's the responsibility of the SLT and the admin, to really create a stable environment. Yes, that's key.
As a teacher, I prefer to have overloaded timetable instead of just having a cover class on the moment.
Yes.
At the moment, yes.
I think it's always those. And I don't think people understand how much those little curveballs really impact people. Then I think it's about the relationship that you have with your staff. Do they feel appreciated from the way that you speak to them? Do you have a connection with them? Do you try and be nice to them? Not try and be, I think there's genuine. I think it's important to have a genuine relationship with all the different teachers in your school.
Yeah.
So you can see, I try to go to the classroom every single day, say good morning, check in with the kids, making sure everyone's okay. Because through that, you can read a face that's not happy.
Mm.
Yes? So you can quickly pick up and ask what's going on, see if there's something that you can do. Then obviously there's appreciation in school. So for example, our Thursdays when we do Staff of the Week, I spoke about this the other week. Initially, the proposal was just for one staff member a week. I just think, no, I can't, that doesn't sit well with me. We have so many people. And why can't we just celebrate all the time? So I think it's very important to celebrate multiple people across the year the whole time. Yes, I think those things are very, very important. And then, like, I didn't think of it, but today, if you think about it, so we had the coffee, then we had the donuts. It's the little things, and then we have a lunch here and there, and then you have your termly events that you do. So we try and do as many things for people, and then every now and again we send people home early. Just
That's the best thing
I know.
ever.
It's amazing. And then the thing is,
We'll keep looking at your eye. You answer it.
yes, I know. I see those eyes on a Thursday afternoon. So I know it's sometimes only 20 minutes, right? I think those 20 minutes mean a lot for many people because it just gives them less time of traffic or gets home a little bit earlier. And then I think also for us at school, we make sure that our teachers, when their kids in other schools have events, we make a plan for them.
Yeah.
We do. So we want to make sure that our teachers also have the same experience as our parents. So we look after people as well at the same time, and we understand personal circumstances within reason, of course.
Sure.
Yes, but of course we try and be as accommodating. But there's a point where sometimes you can't due to circumstances. But that's never because it's personal, but it's because that's what the circumstances dictate.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. So how does your visibility in classrooms and your role in modeling teaching strategies affect teacher confidence and trust?
I think right now the way that I'm trying to do this is not by me being the one who's leading everything, but what I'm trying to do is work through the grade level leads to model to you guys how to work with people, how to do the lesson planning, how to work with your teachers. Now the next step is the coaches. Yeah. To work with them on their pedagogical content knowledge to really support the teachers much better. So I think what we are trying to do here is a cascading. So yes, while I might be leading, it's not the person in the classroom every time, but I'm working with the different parties or the different stakeholders to actually go in and really support. So if you have a look at, we have 4 GLLs, and then we now have 5 coaches.
5 coaches.
5 or 6 coaches. So that's 11 people. And then there's other, and actually no, because we have 2 more for different things. So actually we have a large number of teachers within our school that actually go in now and can help more. So rather than rely on one person, we now use the skill set of multiple people. Are they perfect? No, they're not perfect. No one's perfect. But the thing is, through this process, they will also observe different skill sets that they can learn from and which they can then use with other people.
And different point of views.
Yes.
So each one will gonna pick something to improve later.
Yes. So I think this exposure will benefit the coaches over the long run, but at the same time, it will benefit the teachers individually as well to grow.
As we are coming to the end of our meeting, Mr. Chris, thank you. But then can you give us one advice?
Listen, I think the last few years I've been thinking about this, and especially within the international school context. It's like any profession. You should want to be the best. So it's true, but the thing is, how are you the best as a teacher? And that's pedagogical content knowledge. So I think the most important thing is to immerse yourself in your trade.
Mm.
If you're an elementary school teacher, how are you going to be the best elementary school teacher? What is the knowledge that you need? What are the skills that you need? So it's for you, yes, there's the element that the school can bring, but what are you also going to do for yourself to make sure that you are the top of your profession?
Sure. And how to improve ourselves to become more better leaders or coordinators.
Yeah, so the thing is, so I think the whole point here is that skill development. What skills do you need to really be the best as a coordinator? So as a subject coordinator, as a grade level, when we have our weekly supervision meetings, we always look at the different elements. Yes, these things are logistical in terms of the job, but the next element is you need to be reflective of how you work with people, correct? So it's the people skills. So it's very much each different position has its own requirements, but it's about how do you develop those skills that's necessary for that position to be consistently and constantly growing. Yes. So I think that's the main thing is whenever you choose to be something, what do you put in to be the best of that? Yeah.
Mr. Chris, thank you so much, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Manar.
I'm happy.
We're very happy to do this for you. By the way, she's one of our best ones.
Thank you.